Hey guys. Hey Dina, Michelle, the real bum fluff paranormal. That's an interesting name. How are y'all doing? I hope everybody is doing well. A scapegoat. It's been so many moons. I know. But this one really caught me today. Oof. This case hit me today, so I figured I would bring it to you guys really quick and see what you guys thought about this and see if there's any way that we can help. I don't know if there is or not, but I'm hoping that there is because this is absolutely crazy. And I don't think I'll be here too long, but I want to bring you through this, and there is a lot. There is a lot that goes into this one. And it's really, really sad. So, hey, Anonymous Pointer Lover. Can you guys hear my clicking? You probably can. Click, 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 click. Yikes. And hopefully you can hear me well. Just put a 1 if you can hear me. I never know since I haven't been live in so long, it feels like. I don't see any 1s, people. Let's see here. I'll listen my damn self. What the hell? Am I even live? My little thing saying I am. Oh, there it is. Hi, Pixie. All right, I got it now. I got it. It's weird when I go on my phone. It doesn't make any sense. Thank you so much, Anonymous. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I need to get back into the swing of things, huh? Look at the little baby on Anonymous's picture. Look. Oh my goodness. So cute. All right, so this is definitely a trigger warning, y'all. This is about a 14-year-old boy, and his name is Kaden. And, oh, goodness gracious. So we're just going to go through this, and then there are a ton of PDFs that I want to take you through, and you're just not going to believe what you hear. I can't believe what I was hearing. The mom did an interview yesterday. It's the first interview I've heard her do, but oh my gosh. Yeah, life is a trigger warning. This one really, truly, though, oh my gosh. All right, let's just get into it, okay? So Kaden was the heartbeat of his large family. His mom, Erica, recalls how contagious his laugh was, and it would fill a room. He was especially proud of his secret scrambled egg recipes that he would make for his mother and his 4 siblings. So he was one of 5 kids. He was the second oldest. And from all accounts, he was extremely sweet, very funny, very outdoorsy. He was always out doing something, whether, it was working in the yard or hunting with his dad. He was always out. So I heard about this. I saw it on Facebook, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? His death investigation has been closed, but I want to explain why that would be crazy. Hey, Rockabit. And this is something that maybe, people can get behind and try to help with. I don't know what exactly we can do, whether it's contacting SLED. I don't know. This is South Carolina. SLED, Alex Murdaugh, all of that shit. You have AP. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely brutal. It's so screwed up how this is being handled. This, when he lost his life, it was December of 2023. So it's about to be exactly 1 year. Okay. So this is Kaden here and his dog. So nothing out of the ordinary interrupted the cadence of the Moss home on the night that Caden died. There were no arguments. There was nothing strange going on whatsoever. Hey, Chrissy. So, his mother had worked all day long. She was tired, so she did an easy dinner, hamburgers, hot dogs, and french fries for the kids. Erica, the mother, and her husband were separated, and they were working through the process of co-parenting, which they were doing very well. While she cooked, Caden's dad was on a speakerphone, and they were talking to Caden because he wanted to go to a party the next night. It was going to be New Year's Eve. Yeah, no, but Pointer Lover, I'd never heard about this either, and then when I heard about this today, I was just like, I have to go live with this. This is so tragic and so unfair what's happening here. So, and I don't understand the reasoning, so maybe there are people in South Carolina or more who understand SLED and the way that they handle things there. I don't know. Okay. No arguments, no nothing, right? So they're on the phone, the speaker phone with dad, and talking about a New Year's Eve party. He wanted to go the next night since he was supposed to be at his dad's house because they're co parenting. They wanted to all talk about it. They finally decided, okay, he could go to the party, and the group who was there ate their food, and Caden agreed to clean the kitchen for his mother. Erica went to bed early, around 8:30. Before she went to bed, she told Caden that she loved him, and I'm going to drop this in the chat. It's Impact of Influence podcast. The last words that were spoken to Erica from Caden were, Mama, I love you too. Hey, Roro. Hey, Lisa. He's 14. Less than 3 hours later, at 11:01 p.m., Erica was awakened by her oldest daughter. Mama, Mama, Caden shot himself. Erica jumped out of bed. She ran into a wall. She sprinted past their Christmas tree to her son's room. Erica said as she ran, she could hear her younger children in the hallway screaming and crying. When she got to Caden's room, the heavy smell of gunpowder was all throughout the room. It hit her immediately. She said when she got into the room, her 14-year-old son was sitting upright in his gaming chair with a visible gunshot wound to his left temple. Okay? To his left temple. Blood was pouring onto his golden blonde hair. According to Erica, Caden's phone was in his lap, appearing as though he had been actively playing a game before the gunshot. She picked up his phone and dialed 911, and she tried frantically to save him. Yes, Pointer Lover. Yes. So she was doing chest compressions on him, and she felt like she could still feel a heartbeat and she could see his eyes, and that he was, nope, Ava, it's not bullying, not at all. Um, it is very strange. Oh my gosh. It's more about the damn law enforcement and SLED and the attorneys. It's absolutely horrific what ended up happening here. So she felt like he was still there, that she could save him somehow, okay? And I'm going to play his girlfriend's 911 call. Let me know if you can hear this though. Well, I'm going to play it myself in my ear. No, you can't. All right, hold on. Hold on. I need to make sure I share sound. And the screen share again. It should just share it right away. I don't know why it's not doing that. Oh, I have to share a tab. It won't let me share it that way. Okay. Sorry about that. Come on, where are you? All right, here we go. Now, Caden's girlfriend was on the phone with him when all of this happened, okay?
So my boyfriend just shot himself.
Okay, where at?
Hold on, I'm looking on Live 360. I'm trying to find his address.
How do you know he just shot himself?
I was on FaceTime with him, and everybody just started screaming, and I heard a gunshot.
Okay, I need the address.
I don't know. He shot himself in the head. It's on Edgewood Drive. I'm looking for the numbers.
This is devastating.
How old is he?
Can y'all please hurry?
Listen to me. Is it Edgewood Drive in Clinton or Lawrence?
Clinton.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Don't hang up.
And she's just a young girl, so she's trying to explain this quick so that they can get there.
261 Edgewood Drive, Clinton, South Carolina.
Hey, don't scream at me. What's the address again?
You hear her? Don't scream at me. What? Oh my gosh.
261 Edgewood Drive, Clinton, South Carolina. Oh my gosh.
Okay, you're not with him, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I wasn't meaning to scream.
I understand. Just give me
I'm just like nervous.
This is horrible.
Okay, I'm getting them out there. What was your name? What's your name, ma'am? Okay, have you talked to the parents or anything?
No, ma'am. I think his mom might be at work, but all of his siblings are home.
She didn't know the mother was at home yet.
Okay, I'm getting them out there, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that's that one. Oh, my goodness. So while his mother was trying to save him, her daughter ran to the neighbor's house for help. And when the neighbor, Chris, arrived, he knew that Kaden was gone, but what can you do? He doesn't want to say that to her. So they just kept feeling, is there a pulse? And he told her, there's not. There is no pulse. And she says, I could feel it. I could feel his heart beating, and it was strong. Now, this is where the trigger warning comes in, because this is extremely triggering. Okay, this is very, very rough, this one right here to listen to. So
Lawrence County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
200 Edgewood Drive.
Yes, sir.
261 Edgewood Drive.
Yes, sir, they're on the way.
Fucking now.
They're on the way. They're coming.
He's gone.
Okay, they're coming as fast as they can to help you.
You don't even know. I mean, we need somebody here.
They're coming as soon as they can, sir. They are driving as fast as they can to get to you. We've got officers, EMS, and fire department on the way.
it's great.
Oh my God.
Do you know where he shot himself at?
Yeah.
Oof.
We found him.
Okay, can you tell me what all's going on?
He shot himself.
Can you tell me where?
Fucking dead. I don't know what the hell happened. I just know.
Oh my God. So the daughter ran over to get the neighbor. The neighbor, he clearly sees that Kaden's no longer with them, but they're all thinking he shot himself. And there's a reason that they think he shot himself, because that's what they were told. You'll hear why they were told that in just a minute. Hey, okay. Oh my goodness, my stomach. Oh.
Because I was a neighbor, and they come over to my house, and
You're the neighbor? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. You're doing the best that you can. I understand.
I'm not doing good with his mama.
I know. I understand. No, there's not a lot you can do for that, sir. You know, I mean, just being there is the best that you can do. Okay? We've got everybody on the way as fast as they can get there. They're coming. Do you know what room in the house he's in or anything?
Yes, he's in his bedroom.
Okay.
Tell him to hurry. He's got a heartbeat? She said he's got a heartbeat. Tell him to hurry.
They're coming. They're coming. We have everybody available is headed that way.
I don't know what she was feeling, but she felt he had one. Oh, my God.
No. Please tell them to hurry.
Okay, they're coming. They're coming.
They're not coming fast enough.
There's only. I mean,
They're right here.
You see them? You see them?
Hey!
261 Edgewood. Do they see them?
Right here.
Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine this woman's pain.
Who do you see, sir?
Huh?
Who do you see? You said right here. Who do you see?
They're Polish.
Okay. Are they there? Did they see you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was just making sure that they found you.
Absolutely, Terry.
Is he talking to her?
Please hurry.
Mm.
She said he's got a heartbeat now.
Mm.
Get her, buddy. Hey. Come on. Okay.
5 days later.
Look at me.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so it's a lot more like that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so when they arrived, 11:15, there was nothing that could be done for him, and he was pronounced dead. His condition was clear to everybody, but not to her. She refused. She couldn't believe it. Here's a question. How could a child who was right-handed shoot himself through the left side of the head while sitting in his gaming chair? Nothing about what happened that night made any sense. A death investigation report came back from Lawrence County Coroner, and it seemed to make a little bit more sense to her. The bottom of the page read, "His death was a homicide." The night that Kaden died, he had a close friend who we're going to call James sleeping at the house. The two were the only ones in his room when the gun went off. James was the kind of friend who was at Kaden's house all the time. Erica recalled him being polite, always responding with a yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. He wasn't the type of person that made her worry. She didn't feel anything strange about him at all. He was helping in the kitchen, and he was making a chicken recipe so he could impress his mom. Erica says that she saw no red flags. James ate dinner with them that night, and when Erica went to bed, the two were playing a video game, doing normal stuff, normal things that you wouldn't think anything of it. Okay. We're going to go to the first PDF. This is his girlfriend. We're going to get to the gun. Hey, Patty, honey. The siblings, one was a year and a half older than him. The others are like 11 and 9 and 7. So here we go. My name is Blank. I am Kaden's girlfriend. I have been with Kaden since September 22nd, 2020. On Wednesday, December 27th, Kaden and a boy named Blank had a falling out. She's talking about James, okay? They had a falling out. James had been talking negative of Kaden to me, and I told Kaden. Kaden then in return blocked him on Snapchat. After Blank and I talked to Kaden, he decided sometime later, I believe Thursday, to unblock Blank from Snapchat. Now, on Saturday, December 30th, 2023, I was staying at Blank's house, which is her friend, okay? House, and Blank, which happens to be Blank's boyfriend, was staying at Kaden's house. Okay, so here, let's try to put that together. This young lady is Kaden's girlfriend who's giving this narrative. James is at the house with Kaden. James's girlfriend is at the house with Kaden's girlfriend. Two separate houses, 2 girls in one house, 2 boys in another house, okay? Okay. The 4 of us had been talking to each other on and off during the day and had made plans to meet at Blank's house the next day for a bonfire to celebrate the new year. Later that evening, around 9 p.m., Kaden and I were on the phone, and he decided to go take a shower. I stayed on the phone while he took a shower, and when he got out, he told me that Blank, James, had walked outside, so he was going to check on him. He said Blank was walking back towards the house from the driveway. James came inside. Kaden and I got on FaceTime together, and James and the other girl got on FaceTime. We all had our cameras on. I could see James laying on the floor on Kaden's left side. I could also see the gun in the corner of the room within arm's reach of where James was laying. We all decided to play Roblox. After a little bit of time, James said he didn't want to play anymore, so he quit playing the game with all of us but continued to stay on FaceTime with his girlfriend. Even though he was on FaceTime, he laid his phone on the floor and he had his camera pointing up to the ceiling so we couldn't see him on her phone. After a small amount of time went by, while continuing to play Roblox, Kaden and myself decided to turn our cameras off. Even though the cameras were off, we continued to play Roblox and talk to each other. Within a few more minutes, around 11:30, I heard Kaden say, "What are?" and then I heard a gunshot. After a few seconds, I heard James say that Kaden shot himself. I could hear Kaden's siblings and mom come in the room, so I hung up the phone and called 911. After talking to 911, that's the first girl that you heard. Hey, Randy. That's the first girl that you heard on here calling 911. So what she says she heard, they're playing Roblox together. James no longer wants to play. He's laying on the floor. He has his phone looking at the ceiling. Her and Kaden had shut their phones off, but there's, the screen, but they're still on FaceTime playing. They're just on voice. She hears Kaden say, "What the?" and then hears a gunshot. After a few seconds, she heard James say that Kaden shot himself. I could hear Caden's siblings and mom come into the room, so I hung up the phone and called 911. After talking to 911, I tried to call my dad because he was closer, but I couldn't get a hold of him. I called my mom, but I couldn't get her either, so I called my grandfather, and he handed the phone to my mother. After hanging up with her, Blank's mom and Blank took Blank and myself over to Caden's house. James walked outside completely emotionless. He simply hugged me. He hugged the girlfriend. I tried to go in the house, but Caden's mom stopped me. And then I asked James, "What happened?" James replied, "I don't know." Caden just put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger. While James was telling me this, he was making the image of a gun with his hand and put it to his head. My mom had gotten to Caden's house at this time, but when she came out, she asked, "Who is James?" James came around from Blank's car and said, "Me." My mom then said, "What the heck happened?" James replied, "I don't know. I unloaded the gun, so there wasn't anything in it." I continued to stand around for a while, and I went and sat in my mom's car. To this day, I have not talked to James. Now, do you see the date that they interviewed her? 7/11/2024. This all happened in December of 2023. Hey, Mama. Okay, so now let's go back. This is just crazy town. So this, according to the statement that was written by the girlfriend, we went over all of that. In the room next to Caden's, his sister and her boyfriend were exchanging Christmas gifts. According to his sister's statement, the sound of the gun going off did not reverberate throughout the house like one would expect. Instead, it sounded like a pop. Not loud, but kind of like a big piece of furniture hitting the wall. Keep that in your mind. She recalls laughing because they didn't think it was anything bad, but it shocked them. When the two left the room, they saw James exiting the room with his phone in his hand. Kaden shot himself. Stunned by the words, his sister said, "That's not something to joke about." But to their horror, they looked into Caden's room and they realized it was not a joke. Okay. This is the sister's PDF. Okay. I walked into the house after work around 10:30. I was excited to see James because I hadn't seen him in a while. So me and him went to my room. Oh, no, her boyfriend. I'm sorry, they don't say the boyfriend's name. I was excited to see Blank because I haven't seen him in a while. So we went to my room to exchange Christmas presents. We were there opening them for a while and we heard a pop. Not loud, but kind of like a big piece of furniture hitting the wall. I started laughing because I didn't think it was anything bad, and it made us flinch. We went to go see what the noise was after a little bit. As soon as I opened my door, which has a metal sign on it clanking on my door, we walked out the room and they saw James with the phone in his hand saying Caden shot himself. I told James that's not something to joke about, and then I looked in Caden's room and saw him in his chair facing his monitor. I was in shock, but I could hear the blood dripping onto the carpet, and I couldn't see much else. I saw just for a few seconds. After I talked to James and asked him over and over what happened, he just said Caden shot himself. He didn't seem like he was in shock, and the way that he replied to me didn't seem legitimate, but I was in too much of shock to think about it. I ran to my mom's room, screaming to wake her up. I don't remember if I told her what happened or not, but she went into Caden's room, and I fell on the floor crying. My legs would not work right. I went out to her room and saw blank crying, and blank was freaking out a little. So she's talking about her siblings. I told the kids to get outside. I went outside and called the police. It was a male who answered, and I told him as calm as I could that my brother shot himself and that there was blood everywhere. I gave my address and I started screaming, crying. The person on the phone mocked my crying and hung up after saying there are other people calling in the same thing. I started running towards my neighbor's house the best I could. I heard blank voice, so I yelled for him to get the kids to Taffy's, which is the neighbor's house. I knocked on the door and told Chris, Taffy's husband, what happened. He let me and all the kids in. My memory is fuzzy here, but I remember crying on the couch and my siblings crying. I kept walking. I eventually tried to call my dad, and he didn't answer, and I called my grandma, who he lived with at the time. She was at work, and I told her what happened, and she left to be on her way. My dad eventually answered. I don't remember if he called me back or if I called him again, and I told him what happened. At that point, I heard Kaden was stable, so that's what I told him, and I asked him to be on his way, which he was. At some point, there were more people. I don't remember a lot of who, just a lot. I asked Caden's girlfriend's mom if Kaden was okay. She told me she didn't know, and I should go see. I saw and heard my mom crying very loud, and I tried my best to lead her away from the house. I asked an officer if Kaden was still alive. I don't remember the officer, but they shook their head no, outside at least twice. And what happened each time is fuzzy. I remember seeing Blank and his girlfriend outside, which was James. His girlfriend hugged me. I remember seeing him, but he didn't seem messed up like the rest of us, no tears or anything. I didn't think anything of it then. I eventually fell asleep on the couch and woke up at 4 in the morning to go to my grandmother's. Not once was I asked for an interview. So nobody asked her for an interview. Okay. Then this is Chris and Taffy here. Let's see here. Hold on. This is the sister's boyfriend here. This one. Okay. This is the sister's boyfriend right here. On December 30th, 2023, my closest friend, Kaden Moses, died by a gunshot wound to the head. On the same day, before the time of his death, I was waiting for my girlfriend, Blank Moses, to get off of work. I would occasionally go into Caden's room every few minutes to see what Kaden and his friend were doing. Every time I entered the room, Kaden would be playing the game with his girlfriend through online games, and his friend James would be covered up with a blanket on Caden's bed in the corner of his room. At some point, I brought some of my Pokemon cards into Caden's room. I gave Kaden the cards, telling him he could have them if he wanted. He was very happy to receive them, and he wanted to know about them. After I explained the cards to Kaden, I went over to Hunter, who was still on the bed. Oops, I guess they forgot to redact that. We're still going to call him James, though, just to keep it, He was covered up with Caden's blanket from his feet to his face like he was cold. He was on the phone. He was on his phone with the phone covered by the blanket, so I couldn't really tell what he was doing. I walked back to Caden's sister's room and waited for her to arrive. Once she arrived from work, we talked about exchanging our Christmas gift. She starts by giving me gifts to open, and I loved all the gifts she had gotten me. Then it was my turn to give my gifts to her. She was opening her final gift when we heard a loud pop that made us jump. We looked over at each other, surprised at what that noise could have been. I thought it could have been a water bottle that popped because the kids were playing around. We got up to see what caused the noise and left the room. After opening the door to leave the room, Caden's door also opens. It was James. I think I asked him if he heard the loud noise, but he told her and I that Kaden had shot himself. She tells him not to joke around like that, but he wasn't laughing. He didn't seem like he was scared or worried. His eyes were just a little wide. I looked in the room, and everything went slow motion. For the next 3 seconds, time froze. All I see is Kaden, arms wrapped around his gaming chair, his body very tense like he just finished working out, the smell of gunpowder, the sound of blood pouring out of his head and hitting the floor. I turn away quickly, and everyone was around me except Kaden's mom. Blank and I run towards Erica Moss's room. We knock on the door and call her name, thinking she's sleeping. She opens the door in a panic, and we tell her what happened. Speaking was almost impossible as the emotions had already set in. She runs to Kaden's room, and everyone tries to follow. Blank stops me and tells me to take the kids to the neighbor, and Blank, James, follows. The kids follow me over to the neighbors, and I knock on their door. They answer, and the kids go inside. I run back to Erica's house and try to help. James was outside trying to tell me something. He asked me multiple times, "What do I do? My fingerprints are all over the bullets." I didn't know how to help him. Eventually, the police were called, along with friends and family. I stayed at the neighbors, pacing in and out of the house. I was asked to get pictures taken of me by a woman with a camera because I needed to take our dog out of the house along with our puppies. I ended up sleeping at my neighbor's for the night, and the next day I went to my girlfriend's grandma's for a couple of days, away from the house that Kaden died in. This is freaking awful. Okay. So they run over to the house. Taffy recalls going over there. Taffy is the neighbor. The Rogers stayed. Everybody stayed with Erica until law enforcement arrived and took Erica to the living room while they worked. That's what we could hear them trying to pull her away in the 911 call. James was pacing and saying, oh my God, my fingerprints are on the bullet." She sat James down, and when she asked him to explain what happened, he said, "I unloaded the gun earlier, and I guess he put the bullet back in when I wasn't looking." Confused, she asked him to clarify. But before he could respond, a car pulled up and James jumped inside. So James leaves. After EMS officials pronounce him dead, law enforcement begins their investigation. The Lawrence County Coroner, along with the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office and the Child Fatalities Division of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, take over. Fit News has sent a Freedom of Information request to SLED for their investigative files and plans to submit additional requests in the coming days. Investigators took photographs of the scene and Erica, as well as her daughter's boyfriend. In her statement, Erica recalls when she took her clothes off to be photographed. The investigator pointed out the blood covering her body from her fingers to her toes. "I was covered in my dead son's blood from trying to save him." So this is this is his mother's. Oh my goodness. This is brutal. Saturday, December 30th, I went to work in Greenwood, 33 minutes away from the house. I believe she says she goes to the grocery store. Kaden and his friends was at work at the same store I had just got off from and wouldn't be home until after I went to bed. I'm not sure what these say here. Maybe his sister. She's talking about the sister. "I was exhausted from work and got something quick: hot dogs, hamburgers, and french fries." Kaden blank. Kaden something. He was in the kitchen when I was cooking and asking if he could go to a New Year's Eve party at his girlfriend's house. I was hesitant and let him know that it was still his dad's week and that he had only come home because he got homesick, but he was supposed to go the next day back to his dad's. I proceeded to call his dad, Jordan, to ask his opinion, as it wasn't my week. On speakerphone, Jordan and I both talked to Kaden, who was sitting on the back of the corner of the couch as I cooked. We had a heart-to-heart with Kaden about life choices, about how the friends you have today will not always be the same friends that stay in your life, to make choices for himself that are going to benefit his future, to look out for red flags, not only in friendships, but relationships. We let him know how much we love him and just want to see the best for him. Jordan said it would be okay for Kaden to go to the New Year's Eve party after they were done spending the day together on the hunting property. When we hung up the phone, I told Kaden how much I loved him and how much he is cared for because he had his head sunk down, swinging his foot on the back of the couch. I wanted to know that he wasn't getting him to know he was not getting a lecture, just getting filled with the kind of love that he'd hold on to after he's moved out and on his own. We talked about the previous argument that he and Blank had had, and he assured me that it was just a misunderstanding and everything was okay. He gave me a big hug, stole some french fries before returning to his room where James was waiting for him. When dinner was ready, all the kids in the house came to eat at the table. We blessed the food and engaged in conversation about each other's day. Everyone cleaned up their plate, and as it was time for me to go to bed because I had to be up at 5:30, I asked Kaden if he could clean up. I asked him if he knew how to clean the cast iron skillets and how to season them, and he says, "Yes, Mama, I know." I gave him a hug and told him I loved him and went to bed. It was about 8:30 p.m. At 11 p.m., I was woken up by my daughter shaking and grabbing my right arm. Kaden shot himself. I screamed, "What?" And she repeated it with this horrible look on her face. I got out of bed and went running to his room. I saw Blank in her doorway holding on to Blank. When I entered his room, there was the smell, a smell that I've never smelt before, and I couldn't place it. He was sitting back in his gaming chair, legs crossed at the ankle, stretched under his desk. Both of his arms were inside the arms of the gaming chair, bent with his hands curled in. On his right leg was his cell phone, and it was on a game. I read Haunted on the Roblox game that he had been playing. It looked like he was holding his phone, and it just fell a slight angle on his leg. There was blood trickling down behind his left temple out of a small hole, and it had blood flow about an inch. His head was leaned to the right. His eyes were bulging, but not closed. He was breathing. I felt a heartbeat. I started screaming for the kids to get out of the house. I grabbed his phone off his lap and called 911. I put the phone on my shoulder and started doing chest compressions, screaming his name over and over. I could see his eyes moving. They were swollen, but mostly shut, open enough that I could see his eyes going from side to side. Sonny the dog came in anxious from all my screaming. He hit the back of Caden's chair and made Caden's head fall slightly back and to the right. I started screaming at them to put the dogs up. I think Blank grabbed Sonny. I stopped chest compressions and picked Caden's head up. I felt the crunch of bone and warm blood on my left hand as I put his head back, not quite understanding what it was. The whole time I kept screaming his name, still holding the phone to my shoulder. I went back to his chest compressions, still trying to scream life back into my son. Dispatch was trying to tell me to calm down, and I think at one point when they realized my only focus was trying to save my son, they just kept saying the ambulance was on the way and got quiet but stayed on the line. Chris, my neighbor, where the kids went, came in and kept saying, "Oh my God," as he put his behind his head and had to turn around for a second. I kept pounding on Caden's chest, trying to scream life into my baby boy. His heart kept beating. It was beating strong. Chris went outside to see if the ambulance was here, and I'm still on the phone with dispatch. And I heard what sounded like a bag of water hit the ground, but I didn't know what it was. I did more pounding on his chest. I could see Kaden breathing, and his Adam's apple was moving. I noticed a gun on his left side. The barrel was facing his bed, and the butt of the gun towards Caden's computer desk. It was parallel to the chair. Under it, with the trigger part leaning away from Kaden, but not flat. I picked up the gun. I don't know why. I think to get it out of the way so the paramedics could save my son. I placed the gun in the corner between the window sill and his closed door. I continued to pound on his chest, and there was still a heartbeat. Chris came back in and told me, Erica, he's gone, but I could feel his heartbeat, so I kept pushing his chest. I heard sirens. I'm still screaming his name and trying to keep his heart beating. Chris and I flagged down the deputies, and they wouldn't let me back in the room. I collapsed into Chris's arms and almost fell to the floor screaming. I tried to get back into Kaden's room. Chris and a deputy had to usher me outside. People were trying to come in, and I wouldn't let them. On my way to the house, Blank ran out of the house and passed me as I was walking out the front door yelling. Out of the house and past me. I was walking out the front door yelling. I unloaded the gun. A short, dark-haired, maybe Hispanic, met me outside on the front porch. He told me Kaden was stable. I fell into his arms and hugged him, thanking him. They made me walk across the street to the neighbors, but I don't remember who. There were so many cars, so many people, I couldn't understand what was happening. I couldn't make any sense of it. It was freezing, but I couldn't feel it. I was barefoot in shorts and a t-shirt. Taffy, Chris's wife, put clothes on me and shoes. Ashley, the corner, I guess a neighbor at the corner, had me go sit in her car. I asked her if my baby was okay, and she told me kindly, the coroner, I apologize, kindly but very directly, he was pronounced dead as soon as the paramedics hooked him up. I don't remember much of the conversation. I got out, sat on the ground at the back of Taffy's car to smoke a cigarette. Blank, my middle child, came and sat to the right of me. She asked if Kaden was going to be okay. I looked at her and tears filled my eyes, and I told her brother was gone. We sat there and cried for a few minutes. Some other people came to talk, but I don't remember what. A Detective Wilkie. The crime scene ladies came to get pictures and needed to get into my oldest daughter's room where her dog was, so my daughter's boyfriend had to be photographed from head to toe to go get the dog. Shortly after, they needed pictures of me. I took off the clothes that I had put on over my clothes, and that's where they pointed out I had blood on me. My son's blood covered my fingers and on my shirt and down to my toes. I was covered in my dead son's blood from trying to save him. That hit me like a ton of bricks. April Merrill, the SLED SVU agent, very rudely asked me a few questions about this time. Her demeanor lacked empathy, and she asked me what happened while recording it on body cam. We were inside Taffy's house for a few hours, and then they asked me for the keys to unlock my closet's padlock where the guns were kept. I gave them my keys and my son's phone. I had to go outside to throw up. I was hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe, and I didn't know what was going on. Shortly after that, they said that they were going to bring Kaden out, put everyone inside and clear the street, and have me go inside too, that I did not need the memory of them taking my son out of the house. About 4 or 5, they made me get in a car with Blank in the back seat and took us to Jordan's mother's house, Patty. On the second day there, Ashley, the coroner, told me that there is no way possible that Kaden shot himself, not even by accident. It would either be homicide or murder, depending on the investigation. Okay. Let me go into see what you guys are saying here. That was horrible. Yeah, that call is absolutely friggin' brutal. The whole thing is brutal, but it gets much worse than this. Unfortunately, you think, oh, it's not going to get worse than this. Yeah, it does. Okay. So here is where it says, right here, this 14-year-old white male, Kaden Thomas Lee Moses, died as a result of a gunshot wound to the head. The manner of death is homicide. Okay. Erica wrote a letter to SLED because, despite determining Kaden's death as a homicide, on May 3rd, 2024, the solicitor, SLED, and the LCSO met with Erica to tell her no charges were being filed. What? Offering very little to explain why. So, forensic interviews of Kaden's girlfriend and siblings were conducted. But according to Erica, she was told when James was interviewed, he invoked his right against self-incrimination. He's a child. What? What? I don't even understand that. Let me share this with you. This is the death investigation. I was met by the EMS supervisor, Sean Ramsey. He stated that the decedent was a 14-year-old boy who had a gunshot wound to the head. He stated that the decedent was inside the residence in a chair in his bedroom. The environment inside the residence was dirty with filth. Temperature was warm. Outside, temperature was cold and dark. Okay. Decedent's description. Decedent was in a black swivel gaming chair in his room in front of a desk. The decedent's head was laying to the left. The decedent had a visible entrance on his left temple and a visible exit wound on the upper right side of his head. Brain matter was coming from the decedent's head. Rigor mortis none, liver mortis none. Mother, Erica Moses. Personal effects none. Evidence none. Last seen alive or spoken to by the decedent friend James. Statement from the last person to see him. Blank was not interviewed by myself due to his age. Forensic interview will be scheduled. Per the mother of the decedent, she was woken up by one of her older children after the incident. The mother stated that she ran into the decedent's room and found a rifle on his left side. She stated she moved the rifle and put it in the corner of the room. She was unaware of the color of the gun. The mother stated she grabbed the decedent's head, fully unaware of his condition. A child called 911 following a 911 call from the mother. Mother also stated she was unaware where blank was when she entered the room. James. Okay. No drugs or alcohol, no nothing. Removal of the body. Decedent required assistance from LCSO and Patty Canup for removal of the body. Body was removed and taken to Prisma Health, LMCH morgue. Okay, they did blood and all of this. All right. January 3rd, meeting was held with SLED, SVU, and LCSO investigators. This meeting lasted several hours. We chose to make this meeting the Child Fatality Review meeting. I spoke with DSS, Jessica Hudson, in response to her email regarding the Child Fatality Review meeting. I advised her that the meeting took place on January 3rd last minute. I will email Jessica to review the conclusion, reporting form, and coroner's report. January 9th, spoke with Dr. Aiken. May 3rd, meeting with solicitor from SLED, LCCO, and family. Okay. This is the... hold on. This here is the letter that Erica wrote to them. Dear Major Robertson, I'm writing this letter regarding the death of my son, Kaden Thomas Lee Moses, and the date of death, December 30th, 2023. His death was investigated by your agency, and I have been told your case number is this. Also, I was recently advised by a local female agent that the investigation is in the process of being closed because there was nothing else that could be done in this case. This is very puzzling to me, considering what I know about the case. I would like to explain some of the reasons I feel this way. On the night that my son died, he was in his bedroom with another teenage boy named James. I was awakened and told my son shot himself. I went into the bedroom, and my son was sitting in a chair, and a rifle was lying by the left side of his chair. I moved the rifle to the corner of the room. Additionally, my teenage daughter and her boyfriend and my younger children were in the house with me that night. Earlier in the evening before the shooting, James was outside of my house by a truck talking to his girlfriend. He returned to the room with Kaden before the gunshot. Kaden was playing a game on his phone with his girlfriend, during which he was also talking to her at her home through FaceTime audio. While on the phone, his girlfriend heard Kaden say, "What are," and then heard a gunshot on the phone. The comment she heard indicates that he was speaking to James, who could have had the rifle. The authorities were notified and emergency personnel responded. Kaden did not survive. I was later told on February 20th, around 11 a.m. by SLED agent, that she was told by James that he and Kaden were out shooting the rifle earlier that day by the back of the house. She searched the premises and found no evidence. My neighbor did not hear anyone shooting or see them out the day that my son died. Ammunition for the rifle was inside the truck, and we now have the ammunition in a sealed plastic bag. It was never obtained by authorities. I received reports from the medical examiner, coroner, and toxicology laboratory. Page 1 of the autopsy report lists a head wound to the left front of the head, intermediate range. Manner of death is listed as homicide. Homicide is defined as causing the death of one by another. In the evidence of injury section on page 3, sparse stippling is listed on the left side of the face and neck, on the left arm, and on the back side of the left hand. As I understand it, stippling can only occur after the gunpowder particles leave the muzzle of the firearm barrel. How could this have happened from his hand to his face? Also, my son is right-handed. Additionally, James made several questionable statements that night, some of which are listed below. I unloaded the gun, and I unloaded the gun, so there wasn't anything in it. What do I do? My fingerprints are all over the bullet. When asked what happened, James responded, "I don't know. Kaden just put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger." This is inconsistent with the information in the medical examiner's autopsy report, wherein the shot was determined to be at intermediate range and the powder stippling on the back of the left hand, left arm, neck, and face. James's mother works as a police officer for a local department, and it is my understanding the family has obtained a lawyer for him, and he is not talking to authorities at this time. I do not understand why this case is being closed, and I have questions. Hey, TPE, and anybody else coming in that I'm missing, I'm so sorry. I have questions. Was the firearm and cartridge case submitted to the crime laboratory for examination by the firearm section to determine if functioning properly and for comparison? Was the firearm and fire cartridge case sent to the laboratory fingerprint section for examination? Was the firearm and fired cartridge case sent to the laboratory for touch DNA processing? Would you be interested in having the box of ammunition from the truck for laboratory processing? Were there any responding emergency personnel interviewed concerning the statements of admissions made by James? Was James's cell phone obtained? If so, what information was acquired? Was the case presented to the solicitor's office for evaluation and guidance? Why were key parties associated with the case not talked to promptly? As you saw in the beginning, some of them weren't even spoken to for 7 months. I understand that some of these actions may have been accomplished, but I do not know if that is so. This is one reason why I'm writing and letting you know that communication with local agent has been minimal at best. I'm very concerned that this case may not have been thoroughly investigated. It appears your agency is prematurely giving up because the case is difficult. Perhaps a clearer picture could be achieved by digging in and thoroughly answering all existing questions. I would also appreciate a more thorough, detailed presentation and justification as to why the case is in the process of being closed, what has been accomplished to date, and what, if anything, is going to be done regarding the incident. I suspect that you would desire a full, thorough, complete investigation if it was your child, and I ask for no less. So that was written by Erica. Here's what they say. These sons of bitches. I write to you today in response to your letter we received on August 1st regarding the death of your son, Kaden, which occurred December 30th, 2023. First, please let me offer my condolences on the loss of your son. I cannot imagine how difficult it must be to deal with such a loss, and my heart goes out to you. I've reviewed the case management history on this case and have met with SLED investigators assigned to this investigation to discuss in detail. The case agent is SLED Senior Special Agent April Merrill, and her immediate supervisor is Lieutenant April Sykes. Both are assigned to the SLED's Child Fatality Department. Both are experienced investigators. Merrill responded to the scene at the request of the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. A team of SLED crime scene agents responded. SLED assumed the lead at the request of the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. Evidence was collected and submitted to the lab, witnesses were interviewed, and records were obtained. The investigation continued for several months. S.A. Merrill, Lieutenant Sykes, and a SLED victims advocate remained in contact with you throughout this investigation. Can you fucking believe this response? Mother of G. Okay. All information and records obtained by SLED are confidential except from disclosure under Chapter 4, Title 30, Freedom of Information. So they don't release it because it's a, child fatality, which is why they will give the mother nothing. The mother has been fighting to get the records of her son and get the investigative records, and they will give her nothing. Okay. And if she continues to ask for them, they told her she'll be arrested. How about that? I cannot either. I cannot. They told her she'll be arrested and fined if she keeps asking. Oh, this is why I'm bringing it to you guys. Right, I know it took a while to get here, but I had to give you the whole story. Okay. Oh, motherfucker. On May 3rd, you attended a meeting with our investigators, our victims advocate, the Lawrence County Coroner, and the Deputy Solicitor Josh Thomas. During this meeting, you were briefed on the facts of the case. On June 14th, Deputy Solicitor Thomas issued a letter to S.A. Merrill declining prosecution in this matter. Simply put, there is just not sufficient evidence to charge anyone with a crime based on the information we now have, except your coroner ruled it a homicide. Miss Moses, this investigation is thorough and complete based on the facts and information that we have at this time. Please understand that this case, like many others, leave unanswered questions that the answers may never be known. Are you friggin' kidding me? You little. All right. So now, here we go. We're going to go to this is
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and the check.
And he was one of mine. His was my 7-year-old, and then Kaden and his friend and myself.
Okay.
right.
So you go to sleep.
Hold on here. We're going to listen to his mama for a second. She's going to tell you about the gun.
What do we know about what's happening after you go to sleep?
All right, it's playing. Yeah, we do ride at dawn. Damn it. But listen.
I was woken up by my daughter.
So we know all of this already.
My oldest. And
Hey, we already know all this.
And you were, just the sounds that you were making up, like it's very, it was very.
What it was like.
Like,
The female here gets very into where was this gun? Why did he have a gun? What was going on with the gun? All of these things, right? She needs to contact her attorney general. I agree. Something has to happen here. But she goes into, and this is why I wanted to play this part, she goes into what they've threatened her with, who her the family is related to, James's family, and the gun. So again, it was the dad's week. They do a week on, a week off. So it was dad's week, but Kaden was feeling sick, so he came home for the night, and he was going back the next day. The gun they had been using the day before on the hunting property that they had, the dad. So Kaden brought his gun back home, whatever. Typically, his ammunition is always locked up in the truck. Keep that in mind for a second. Locked up in the truck. So there were no bullets in Kaden's gun. The only two people with keys to the truck were his mother and his father. Okay.
a little bit of blood. And that's the only blood that I saw. I didn't notice any more blood until I was outside and they were getting me dressed and I was covered in his blood.
Oh, but you, of course, you weren't even realizing it because you're trying to save the life of your loved one and you have all these other thoughts going on in your head.
And neighbor did, because there were a couple of 911 calls. And who got the neighbor?
My daughter, she ran out of the house first.
This is terrible.
And she got them. They didn't get to spend Christmas together. So with the
new room,
maybe 1 week off.
Mm-hmm.
So
because he is a hunter. So
all right, here we go. This is done. Hold on.
To be home, they were staying on a hunting property, and that's
or the last time he used it or anything like that with firearms and this actual rifle.
Yes, it was a .243 bolt action rifle, and it is
.243 bolt action rifle. Let's look that up because I know nothing about guns. Oh, all right. Are you ready for this? I hope you are. I hope you're ready for this. If you don't know about guns like myself, I really hope you're ready. You fucking joking right now? Yeah, okay. I mean, listen, Linda, stop it right this minute. Yes, I'm 18. Stop trying to give me things. Do you see how long this thing is? Are you friggin' joking? Look at this thing. Wait, what? Okay, hold on here. So, okay. They're saying that a right-handed child shot himself behind his ear on the left side of his head. Mother of God. Oh my gosh.
is typically locked up, ammunition locked up separately. Yes.
But it wasn't locked up, at least at that point. Do you remember the last time you saw it locked up or the last time he used it or anything like that?
We are going through a separation or a divorce. We're at the tail end of a divorce, his father and I, and we do week on, week off.
Mm-hmm.
So I unlocked it for him to go, for Kaden to go to his father's. They were staying on a hunting property, and that's why he had it. And he was supposed to leave with his father because it was his father's week. He wasn't supposed to be home. He was homesick and wanted to stay what was supposed to be one night. But that next morning, he was supposed to leave with his father to go back hunting. And I would have left at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, let's talk about where the ammo was. I think did you told me you saw the gun earlier that day, but it was not loaded?
I had seen it. He had it on his shoulder when he came back from his father's house, or from his father's. It was a day or two before.
And that's not unusual because he is a hunter. So he had done this for years. He knew how to handle guns. He knew how to handle a rifle. He knew safety precautions, that sort of thing.
But where was the ammunition at this point?
Locked up in what to be Caden's truck.
And did Kaden have a key to the truck?
No.
Pause. Where was the ammunition? Ammunition was in what is going to be, it was supposed to eventually be Caden's truck. He wasn't old enough yet. He was only 14, but the ammo would stay locked in the truck. The gun would stay locked where she would have it. She has an area in her room where she kept all of the guns locked up. But because he had come home from the hunting property with his dad because he wasn't feeling good, the gun was in the house, but it was unloaded. The ammo was in the truck. Well, she's going to get into who in the hell? How did somebody get in the truck to get the bullets to load that gun? But who says that they are the ones who unloaded the gun? James says he's the one. He also lies and says that they were out back target practice. They weren't. There's no shell casings. None of the neighbors heard any shooting during that day. So why were his fingerprints all over the bullets? Did they even take the bullets to test them for fingerprints? It's so extremely frustrating what is happening in this case.
I have a copy of a key, and his father has a copy of a key. So that way his father is able to come and use the truck for hunting and be able to get the ammunition. But I always kept the guns locked away.
Do we know if the ammunition used was his ammunition or the ammunition that was in that truck?
On a factual basis, I don't know.
Do we know if the ammunition used was his ammunition or the ammunition that was in that truck?
On a factual basis, I don't know.
Is it the same type of? Is it the same type of ammunition?
There was correct. There was a box of ammunition left. It was in the truck in the middle console behind 2 energy drinks. It was on top. You can clearly, plain as day, see it through the window, which is not where it's normally kept. And SLED never collected that as evidence, so I don't know where
They didn't collect it to compare.
the ammunition came from.
Where did you typically keep the key to the truck?
I would either keep it on my keychain that stayed inside my purse, or I have a very specific drawer in a dresser.
Where did you keep the keys to the truck?
Kind of hidden for that truck key, and then I have another place for the lock for where the guns are kept.
Now, let me explain why we're going where we're going a little bit with this, because you have very big suspicions about did Kaden actually take his own life. Now, there's only 2 people in that room. We're calling him Bob and Kaden.
In this, they call him
So
Bob.
the only witness that's alive is Bob.
So in this podcast, they call him Bob and they don't call him James. So don't get confused. Bob and James are the same person.
The SLED and is it only SLED that's investigating it that came to your house, or other agencies involved?
Lawrence County Sheriff's Department and EMS were also here.
Okay, so did they ask any of the kids anything that night? Did they ask you for a statement that night? What was any of the investigation that was done that evening, if any?
I do not believe that the children were talked to. I don't know. I was kind of very out of it when they ushered me out of the house.
This is unreal.
That is the only time that I saw his friend that night. I don't remember him coming back inside or how he came back inside because he was outside. He ran past me and he said, I unloaded the gun. Or I unloaded the bullet, or it was something along those lines. And I was on the porch, and a deputy had told me my son was stable. So I thought that he was going to live.
Oh, geez.
And then they took me across the street. I believe my neighbors forced me to put clothes on. I was in pajamas, so I had a t-shirt.
Now let's get to the part where they say that they're going to fine and arrest her if she keeps asking for information.
Off until after they... it was a coroner.
Either one of the girlfriends hear anything?
I'm going to also put this
because I think there's a big tie-in. Because tell us how loud this type of rifle would sound if it was shot inside.
It would be extremely loud.
Okay.
It would.
There is a jacket in question, a leather jacket. Who is wearing a leather jacket? Take a guess in the chat who was wearing a leather jacket that could muffle the sound of the gun, because you saw the gun yourself and you heard. The littler kids never even heard the sound. The older teenagers heard the pop. Exactly. James was wearing the leather jacket. This is unbelievable. How in the world? I don't even understand.
It would almost feel like a firework is going off.
And so you get asked about this jacket, and what are they? This damaged jacket. What happens with the damaged jacket?
And what do they mean by damage, too? By the way, yeah.
They didn't explain.
Okay.
They just asked if I had noticed it. I make my own assumptions on what that damaged jacket was used for. I brought it up when I had the meeting with the solicitor, the coroner, the agent, the victim's advocacy, in that meeting where they were telling us that they were closing the case without giving us any facts to why. But I brought up the damaged jacket, and she acted confused, like she had no idea what I was talking about.
And you don't know that do you know whose jacket it was?
Yeah, was Kaden missing a jacket, or did Bob come to your house wearing a jacket?
Kaden did not own a leather jacket.
And was Bob wearing a jacket when he came to your house?
Sweatshirt and jacket, yes.
And was his jacket leather?
I believe so.
Gavel. Oh my gosh. You're going to have to rewind, but this involves SLED.
And so the sound was more muffled than it would normally be, so we can connect.
Than you would expect it to be, because
it had to be muffled because for a rifle to go off inside of a home, you're going to not only hear it very loudly, you're going to feel it.
Of course.
And what was the proximity of your daughter's room to Kaden's room in your home?
They have connecting walls, so she was maybe 10.
They have a connecting wall. And she thought it was like a piece of furniture. The boy thought it was a popped water bottle. You know how the kids flip over with those water bottles? That's what they thought it was. And it's that huge rifle. Oh my God.
10 or a little bit more feet away from her, where she was standing and where Kaden was sitting.
And where did the bullet
I'll be right in there, buddy.
go?
Hold on, guys. Sorry, I didn't want Jace ever hearing anything like this. Oh, no. No.
Through
They asked where the bullet went.
where she was standing and where Kaden was sitting.
And where did the bullet go?
Through the other connecting wall to my younger son's room, where he and his little sister were playing on their phone or on my daughter's boyfriend's phone.
And they didn't hear it.
No, they said it sounded like a light bulb blew, like a light bulb sounded.
Awful.
A light bulb busted.
So did SLED never, when the investigation, as far as you know, they didn't take the angle of where the bullet went, because the bullet hole's obvious in the wall, or things like that?
You have the bullet hole on both sides of the wall and where it lodged in the ceiling.
Did they take the bullet?
I don't believe that they did.
They didn't even take the fucking bullet. I can't do this. I'm gonna give you all the links. Absolutely.
I believe it's still here.
Tell us what the current status of this investigation is.
Listen to this.
And they just said closed. They didn't rule it anything. Take the bullet.
Here's where I decided to go live. Right here when I heard this. This is, think about your own kids. And if you don't have a kid, think about your sister, your brother, your mom, your favorite uncle. Think about somebody close to you that this would happen to. Then being treated in the manner that you're treated. Knowing that there were only two people in that room, one of them being right-handed in the middle of a game on the phone with his girlfriend. And then he says, "What the?" And you hear a gunshot. Just think about that. This is infuriating, what she's about to say next.
Investigation, as far as you know, they didn't take the angle of where the bullet went, because the bullet hole's obvious in the wall, or things like that.
You have the bullet hole on both sides of the wall and where it lodged in the ceiling.
Did they take the bullet?
I don't believe that they did. I believe it's still here.
Tell us what the current status of this investigation is.
Closed.
And they just said closed. They didn't rule it anything, still homicide, but just closed. And that's all they tell you. It's closed.
I believe they're supposed to give me a written statement as to why it was closed, and I was never given anything. The only thing I was given was a coroner's report that had the toxicology, the death investigation, and it was 3 different papers inside of that report. 3 different reports inside of the folder that they handed me, and that's all that they gave me.
And we're coming up on a year in a little bit here, because it was December 30th.
Since then, you have sent multiple FOIA requests to responding agencies, and what has been the response?
Here you go with the FOIA. Here we go.
To your requests.
The only response I got was from an assistant attorney for Lawrence County Sheriff's Department, Darby Jackson, she sent me a letter and called and said that I could have audio for, I think it was $1,009.60 or.
So first of all, there's some audio of interviews. She can have that for $1,000. She's the mother of the kid who got killed. $1,000. Sunday Doodles. So they got James and Kaden prior to his death, got into a fight, an argument. James had been talking very badly about Kaden. He talked bad about Kaden to Caden's girlfriend. Kaden's girlfriend told him, James is talking bad about you. So they blocked each other on social media, blah, blah, blah. You know how kids are. But then they had a conversation and squashed everything, allegedly. And this was his first time back at the house. Now, clearly his mother and father were involved in his life because he was asking to go to a party the next night with James, with his girlfriend, and James's girlfriend. They had a long conversation with him saying, these aren't going to be your lifelong friends. You have to be really careful who you're going to surround yourself with, both friends and relationships. Like, you need to be careful, okay, son? So clearly, in the back of their mind, even though they're probably not recognizing that right now, they were seeing, you just had this situation, just, be cautious of who you're dealing with, which it's the same spiel that I've given my own daughter, so I get it. These pieces of shit.
Which is crazy to me. Audio. It's not like someone is standing at a copy machine making copies of things.
And I've done FOIAs, and I've not ever seen $1,000. I haven't done them. And FOIA, by the way, who don't know, is a Freedom of Information Act, generally used for journalistic purposes, but anybody can do it.
Anybody can file it.
But that's
in her case, she's trying to get answers about the death of her son, and she's filing these. A grieving mother, and then they're saying $1,000 to
to hear your own 911 call.
I was telling my husband about that this morning, and he was like, "What?
That's insane.
That's your own call. Absolutely
it's insensitive, and that there's no reason they need $1,000."
So another thing, though, that what they're saying is some of the information is not available to you because it's involving minors.
Involving a minor. SLED had sent me a letter, 2 letters actually, one not replying to a FOIA request, one replying to a letter I had in July, and this was September, I believe. I got it in September, and it said basically I cannot obtain any information. I can't subpoena it in court. I can't ask for anything. I could be punished by a misdemeanor, $500, and or 6 months in jail.
Do you hear that? What the hell?
I can't ask for anything. I could be punished by a misdemeanor, $500, and or 6 months in jail for asking for my son's information.
But this seems I have many legal questions about this. I want to bring somebody on to kind of discuss the legalities of issues when they do involve minors. But it just seems, it was ruled a homicide. Mm-hmm. Everyone is saying this. It's not even a year. The case is closed. We know how many people were in the house.
Well, he sent me also a letter that said the case can be reopened with credible evidence, with new credible evidence, with the word credible in bold.
Imagine you.
And that leads me to suspicions.
Well, I have reached out to SLED, but that was just yesterday. I have not heard anything. I do plan on reaching out to the solicitor's office to find out where they are on this. What has been your communication with the solicitor's office?
At the solicitor's office, I had to go down there because I was told by the assistant superintendent of the school district that this child who is now in the high school was deemed innocent, that he had a letter from SLED saying that he was considered innocent. And I went to the solicitor's office to see if I could see this letter. And that's not what the letter said at all. And
they showed you the letter?
Said, yes.
And what did the letter say?
The letter said that the case is considered closed for the time being.
Do you feel like a factor in the closure of this case has to do with the lack of investigation by law enforcement? You said what?
Extreme negligence.
Extreme, to say the least. Okay. Here. This is, oh, it's not up yet. It's probably still loading. Let me see. An attorney on how South Carolina law might affect getting answers in Kaden's death. Yeah, it's not giving it to me. But I'm going to give you guys, it is called Impact of Influence, and they are on YouTube. They are here on YouTube, and it's just Impact of Influence podcast. I'm going to share you this. And they also look into the Murdaugh case. So that's also pretty interesting as well. Let me see if they put this up. They've only put the podcast up about a lawyer looking into the laws that could affect his case. So they haven't put the video to go with that yet, but hopefully they will. They should have way more subscribers. They only have 669 subscribers. That's crazy to me. They should have way more, but I'm grateful that they are looking into this at least and trying to help this mom out, because this is crazy to me that this is how this is all going down. Like, what the hell is happening here? And why? I'd never heard a thing about any of this either. Nothing. Kaden. Yeah, it's just that one. I don't know who Jennifer is here, but this is Justice for Kaden's page. So I'm going to follow his mama. There we go. I'm going to put this in the chat as well for y'all who want to join the group. Just to let the mama know, you guys are out here. We're paying attention. Her son needs to still have a voice. I can't believe how she's been treated either. I truly cannot believe how she's been treated. It's heartbreaking. Just think if it was your own family member, Oh, clearly the family's harassing people. Oh boy. So I'm reading this. It says, just to let you know, there's a lot in that article you shared about Kaden. It's fake. All of it is. I'll explain, but I can't post. Dude, I've seen it all personally. I know the mom personally. I've been working with the cops to get the murder solved, but thanks. LMAO. Well, the mom is telling lies about everything. Did she tell you the gunshot was to the side of the head behind his ear, not his temple? Or how my little cousin was back to back to him, not side by side? You've only heard what Erica wants you to hear. There's a reason the case is closed. The person writes back, dude, I'm not here to talk about this. There was a murder. The person says, no, ma'am, there wasn't. And she slandered my cousin's name long enough. LOL. What? The author says, dude, I'm not putting any child's name out. I'm just trying to help get it solved. The girl says, my blood, we all know the truth. He has spoken to who he needs to and everything. He didn't shoot Kaden. It's like she's trying to make it seem. That's all I'm trying to say. The author says, I'm not coming to you. You are coming to me, and I don't need to hear it. She says, everything she says is a lie, and I'm just trying to let you know because I'm a good friend. The author says, I'm not here to discuss the murder. I'm posting the article because it needs to be solved. Hope you have a great day. The girl says, well, it wasn't the boy. Well, it wasn't the boy. Well, it wasn't. The boy shot himself, and nothing is to be solved. That's why the cops closed this case after a year, homie. Oh my God, I hate this little girl, whoever she is. The person who reposted, I guess, the article, probably from Fitz News, says, I've read the case. I told you I'm not talking about this, and you keep texting me. It's harassment, and I said stop. The girl says, just fucking block me. That's childish. We've been friends for a while. It's not a crime to text somebody, but I don't want to see BS ass slandering posts about my cousin being something he's not.
I'm just going to go ahead and also real quick make this video
Oh.
the last bit so that there's an audio of what is being said on my end.
Can you hear this?
Okay, we are not friends. We are acquaintances. We've never hung out outside of me working at Scotchman's, okay? And not even just that. I told you I am done. I am not talking about this. I don't care. I'm literally listening and watching the articles that have been posted. I don't care, okay? We are acquaintances. You can block me. At this point, if you text me one more time, I will be filing a police report. It's end of story, okay? I'm not dealing with this because, from my understanding, your family has been harassing my friend. I'm not dealing with this. I'm sorry. I actually have someone who hangs out with me. You don't really hang out with me. I don't have friends, really, besides Erica. So you tell me who's really a friend. Just saying. So again, you text me again, it is harassment, like I keep saying.
Wow. Okay. So I guess there's a lot going on in this Facebook group that I didn't realize, and now I'm okay. I don't know. This is a lot. Yeah, it's the article. People are sharing the article over here, and that's why people are getting upset now because they probably all thought, well, it's over with, it's done with. And that's not the case. Did I read the mom was not able to get the FOIA documents and videos because they cost $1,000? I did not pay any of mine because I was considered the victim of a house fire. Impact of Influence says yes, the sheriff's department wanted to charge her $1,000 for audio records. Okay. This is so brutal. And he was just a little kid, man. It's just terrible. So hopefully you guys will join that group. I'm joining it right now. And subscribe to the podcast. They seem like they're going to be keeping up with this. Also, grab his picture, put a hashtag on it. I shared his picture at the very beginning of this and share it out. You joined this morning. Great. I'll have to stay out. I'm already mad. Well, you know what? Sometimes I think it takes people to get mad. It takes people to get mad, like in the cases that are going on with Sebastian and the people exploiting them. I started writing this letter to go out to YouTube Legal, but when you're writing something to YouTube Legal or to anything, you want to make sure that it's together and put together properly. But you write those things because you get mad. And I think that it's well past time that some people need to be mad so that changes can be made. I think that sometimes they think that they can treat certain people like this. She's a single mom. She's working. She probably doesn't have a lot of money. And they think, well, the James's mom's a law enforcement officer, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of just let it go. I mean, we saw the size of the rifle. The thing's huge. How would he have been able to shoot himself? How could he have shot himself behind his ear on his left side if he's right-handed? Did they test his hands for gunshot residue? I mean, what is really going on? Did they test James's hands? In the podcast, she says no, they did not. So whose was tested? What is going on here? Why are they okay with something like this happening? I get the good old boys club. I totally understand that there's a group and they stick together, but not when it comes to the death of a kid. Absolutely not. So I'm going to put up a picture of Kaden on my community wall. You guys look out for it. A hashtag justice for Kaden on it. Share it to your social media and share the article so that people can read this story. Maybe people will be outraged and the right person will see it. I don't know. Maybe an attorney who'd pro bono pick up her case and go after them. I don't know. But there's got to be something. I hate the thought, well, I read this story. There's nothing I can do about it. So let me just walk away. There's always something that we can do. I don't know what it is. It may not make a huge impact, but there's something we can do. There is. So, all right. I know I've been gone a while, and now I've been back an hour and 41 minutes. Geesh. I am going to try to be back more often. There's a lot of stuff I want to go over. There's a case right now. Jared Bridegan, Shanna Bridegan, Mario Fernandez. It's a whole different thing, but maybe we can go over that tomorrow at some point. I don't know. I am in a deadline on a project for work for New Year's Eve. I got to get it done by then. So we will see. This is so awful, as if it's not devastating enough to lose her son, but to be denied justice. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just even how the dispatch people spoke, it was far too much for me. Far too much. So, all right. I love you guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye.